Wow. All right. Let me see if this sounds good. I don't think there's anybody here yet anyway, so I don't have to worry about it. It sounds a little tinny. Let me see if I can adjust that before people start hopping on. I don't know. That seems to make it better, but it's that. It's the monitor. That's not gonna help. Hello. Test. That's just an echo. That's not gonna help. Turn that off. Actually. Okay. I don't know. There's nobody here yet anyway, so I can just keep on until people start showing up if I wanted to. I'll give it a chance. I know that there's, if you're going to tune in later, I'm aware that there's only like 86 subscribers of this, but you got to think, I had like 10 when I started this 2 weeks ago, so I feel like that's some level of improvement. I know it was, a lot of it is me messaging people, but I think it's because I'm trying to, man, you do comedy 11 years and you start to look at it and go, man, I've done the same shows, even in different states. Like, it'll be the same type of show that I've done. Or I'm doing like a bar show or like a low end comedy club. And there's nothing wrong with those, but I just do feel like I'd like to level up, and the only way to do that is to get a following, or be friends with a famous person. But I'm not the kind of person that's good at making friends like that. So I think I got to be the guy that tries to blow up on YouTube or on TikTok or one of these things. So I did blow up on Facebook last year. Got a million views on my booger joke. If you've ever heard that, there's nobody on there. That's fine. Yeah. Somebody told me this was the smart idea to hop on and you know do a live, and apparently the algorithm picked up on that. But we'll see. I have no idea. I don't know a lot about YouTube yet. I've only ever used it as a place to put my reels to send to books. That was the only reason my YouTube existed before. So this is all uncharted territory, but I can't wait because at some point people are going to maybe look at this later. I have to keep talking. So I wanted to. I have no idea how many people are going to view this afterwards. So this is just all. I can just see this as a practice run. But I did want to talk about my like the future of comedy. I didn't, write. I didn't write that for no reason. Like I did want to talk about the Mississippi Gulf Coast comedy scene, and I wanted to talk about where it started from my perspective, and then where it is now, and then where I would like it to go. Because that's pretty much my work for the past 5 years, building the scene up to have some legitimacy to it. And in the process, this is I know this is there's nobody here now, but if you're watching this later, uh, I'm gonna I'm not gonna name names of anything that's happened. I am gonna the purpose of this podcast is to air out all the beefs that I've had over the years, all the problems that I've had with people that I just we don't talk about it anymore because I'm the kind of guy that if you fuck me over, I just drop you from my life. I don't try to keep up with you, So some of these people are people that I don't intend to work with again, and some of them I would like them to come back. I just think they should probably come back with a better attitude about how comedy is, and what the expectations are going to be. Um, I know last night I just came from New York, show in New Orleans. I did the burlesque show, Ha-Has and Tatas, which we are bringing that to the juke joint on December 6th. We're going to add a local burlesque performer, Rhiannon Red. Right, so that'll be exciting. But it's going to be Tommy Brennan and his wife Phoebe. Very gifted burlesque performer. He's a very good comedian. They're going to come in January 6th or December 6th, and we're gonna do a little burlesque show at the juke joint, a little comedy show. Krangus is going to come out for that. So, um, so let's talk about the beginnings of the comedy scene. This was always, I grew up here, if you didn't know that, because I always tell people that I started in Phoenix, which is true. I started comedy in Phoenix. Technically, the very first open mic I ever did was in Pacific Beach, California. This place called Boondoggies. I got dragged to it after my second deployment. And that booger joke was the only joke that landed. So I got hooked from that laugh, man. And but over the years, at first I don't really think I started because at first for me comedy was like I knew I wanted to do it, but I didn't really know the steps. So I started working at a comedy club, and just to be around it, which I think looking back was very effective because I got to watch like big names like that comedy club owner. It was a place called Stand Up Scottsdale. And as much as people in Phoenix would shit on that guy, the owner, I got to say that he knew how to do two things. He knew how to talk to rich people, and he had an eye for good talent. I mean, we had big names names that weren't really big then, but have since blown up. Tom Segura came there. I mean, we had Mark Norman on a regular basis. We had Godfrey. We had Rich Voss was there on a regular basis. Sam Morrill. We had great names come through there. Brody Stevens a few times, the legendary, rest in peace. He came there a couple of times. Uh, but I didn't really know how to It kind of at the time I kind of hated it because I really wanted the stage time. I should have looked at it from what I do look at it now, which was that was my college. I was watching these people every because they would we'd do a Thursday show, two Friday shows, two Saturday shows, and a Sunday show. So I got to watch all that every week. I got to watch these new professional comedians. New to me. And a lot of these people have been doing it for 10 to 15 years by the time I saw them. But that was so valuable when I look back on it because I really did get to watch some of the greatest. And that not that I stole anybody's jokes, but I got to see different. You just pick up things over the years, like talking to them or just watching. Watching is the best way to learn, really. But at first, I didn't really know because when I first got out of the Marine Corps, my life was all about I'm gonna do all the drugs that I never got to do before. So that's what I did for a while when I first got out. For me, it was like a party at first. The first 2 years of my comedy career weren't really. I wouldn't have called it a career. It was just I'd go to open mics and get wasted. And I had fun with it. Don't get me wrong, but I definitely recognized that at first I wasn't taking it too seriously. And I look back now because I have a lot of very fond memories of the Phoenix comedy scene, just different patio nights where we would talk after an open mic or a show, and I have a lot of fond memories of it. But looking back now, because it was a few years ago, I had moved my grandmother in to my house in Scottsdale, and I remember one night I came home drunk, and this is where it started to change around for me. And I was just talking about how because to the outside looking in, nobody in the family really knew what I was doing. And so she was like, what do you want to do with your life? And I was like, I really want comedy. And she was like, well, then figure out a way to make money on it. Which for the longest time, I was the guy that was like, I won't make money on it because it's not what it's about. It's the art form. And which such a douchey thought anyway. But realistically, the reason that that's a fallacy now, and I know that is folly, is that okay, no man can serve two masters. So a lot of you now that are eventually going to watch this, there's nobody on now, but a lot of people will have their day job, and then that's what they take the first 8 hours of their day doing, and then there's little room for doing things like writing, or really a lot of my day is spent emailing bookers, it's writing, it's doing this, editing clips and doing live streams. I just wanted to try a live stream because I haven't done one yet. And it does seem like it'll be easier to not have to edit stuff, but I don't know if I'll do this constantly. I kind of like putting the edits into my videos. It does take a long time to do, but I think I'll get more efficient at it. But that was how it started. I then started whenever I would approach comedy clubs, I would start to ask for money, and then I started realizing people weren't people didn't like me as much after that. At first it was like, hell yeah, and now I look back and it was like, yeah, we love Krangus because they'll do these shows for free, and I shouldn't have done that, but I didn't know any better at the time. I didn't realize I was kind of fucking up the market for comedy. You're basically scabbing at that point if you're just taking free shows all the time. And in some cases, it was situations where I was bringing. It wasn't like I wasn't bringing. So people were making money off of me, and then you got to think, okay, it's not about making money because if you get into comedy to make money exclusively, you're an idiot. You should quit now while you're ahead. But there's no money here, let me tell you. But if you get into it for the fact that you actually love it, the money can come. But that's the point. Is like, yes, it does seem like I follow the money a lot because you kind of have to. But it's because I want to be able to make my living on this, so that the only thing I have to focus on is comedy, which is pretty much the case right now. But I think success to me looks like, I'd be able to make enough money to eventually hire a person that would edit my content for me. I'd hire somebody that actually does my booking for me, like an agent or a manager, which I've had a manager before, but that was, we might talk about that soon. Actually, in this podcast, we'll talk about it. But for once I started taking comedy seriously and actually trying to pursue, a career in it, I would come home like on Christmas usually and do the juke. I would headline the juke. The first place I ever headlined was the juke joint. So that place, it wasn't like people don't realize that, like, I've only been running the open mic there for 5 years, but I've been doing comedy at the juke for like 8 to 9 years. It's been a long time, and at some point I will have her on, but it really boils down to, if you've ever been to that mic or that bar, which I think most of the followers on here have, Brittany, who's a very close friend of mine, the main bartender behind the bar. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have had this show go for as long as it has. Because, man, at first, and this is going to be part of the beef that I have with people, and this isn't anybody specific. This is just, dude, I remember at first when I started that open mic, it was rough. I mean, people would come in, because it was, it's a dive bar where they're used to playing music, and people would just come in and, like, I was a lot more aggressive about it back then, like, shut the fuck up. And I'm a lot better now. I kind of understand, like, it's a dive bar. Not everybody's there for it, but I do have to. There are some nights where I have to be a little bit heavy, because if I see a situation where two of you come into the bar and you're hammered and you're yelling over the show, but like 30 to 40 people are in the audience and they're actively trying to listen, I have to be a kind of a dick to you. I have to roast you on stage, or I have to say something, which I did last Halloween. And I'd like to talk to who those people were. Maybe we can make up. You're probably not going to ever see this, but if you do, drop me a line. We'll talk about it. But just so you guys are aware, if you weren't there, I did a show last Halloween, and it was packed, and it was people that were there for the show. And it's Halloween though, so these four people came in, like two older couples, and I'm wearing the Woody outfit from Toy Story, so I look like a cartoon already. And these guys are kind of talking, like not talking, they're like yelling over the show and at the bartender. And I went, hey, and I swear I was like, I had not had anything to drink yet, very sober, and I looked at the one guy and I was like, hey guys, you don't mind taking it down just a little bit? We got the show, it just started. And the guy looked at me and just went, fuck you. And then sometimes people, I have to look at intent. Sometimes people say things like that, and it just gets to me. It shouldn't get to me, but I got so mad, and I just went, you look like a bitch, which I don't know if you've ever tried to look tough while you're wearing a Woody outfit from Toy Story, like looking like a cartoon. It looked real stupid. It looked real foolish. So then, they tried to fight me, and then the bouncers threw them out. It was the whole thing. And I'm sure that they, think about it. I hate the juke, and I'm sorry, but, hey, I was trying to be nice, and you guys were kind of actively ruining an experience for the rest of the 50 people that were in that room. I got to do something at that point, because you are ruining it for other people. Now, there's other situations. Here's the adverse side of that. There have been other situations, not so much lately, not in the last few years, but in the beginning of the show especially, the 5 years ago, or 5 years that I've been running it, there would be situations where there's really nobody. There might be people there, but they're not necessarily there for the show. They'll be talking over the show, but I'm not going to do anything there because I have to look at, okay, well, the crowd wins on this one. So I just, at that point, I just try to break into crowd work and make it as fun as possible for everybody. And that's, I feel like, a skill that I've had to learn here at the Duke. Over time, it really helped, build my ability to do crowd work. A lot of people, hate on crowd work nowadays, and I'm like, I mean, Matt Rife came out and everybody, oh, he's only good at crowd work, and I'm like, well, I mean, that is a skill. I think a lot of us start with. I think I would much rather be a more well-rounded comic, but I mean, most people. I'm really good at storytelling. That's always been my gift. And some people start with being good at setup punch. Some people start with being good at crowd work. I mean, I don't know why people hate on it so much. Because to me, crowd work when I first started, that was like the most terrifying thing I could imagine. Like, wait, coming off script? That's a thing that you guys are doing? Like that to me was. I mean, I can do it now, but to me that was always in the beginning. That was like way more difficult than just telling the jokes. Some people just they prefer doing the crowd work because it's easier for them and they're a little bit maybe they're more charismatic in person. I'm I have to recognize that I have the kind of voice that sounds like everybody's in trouble. So, uh, I got somebody texting me right now. What? Whoops. I must have did that at night. Forgot about it. Well, that is a personal one. So that's a little bugaboo that I. Well, we'll hop on. You can talk shit to me if you want. To somebody that I just talked about her too. Brittany might be coming on this chat right now. And I did a booger maneuver a few nights ago. It would appear. All right. I don't even know. Oh man, there she goes. There's somebody in there. It still says there's nobody. Is there actually people watching? Okay, it says it now. Yeah, this is a whole new channel. So, hello. Would you like to tell everybody? Would you like to? I don't know why I'm typing this like you can't hear me. Do you want to tell everybody in these comments what I did, and that'll be my punishment? Ugh, I am too old for. I am too old for this. I must have. Okay, I guess to update everybody, I haven't really been drinking too much lately, but Tuesday I did because we had some friends come out and it was somebody's birthday, and I was like, you know what, I'll drink with you fellas. And it was a situation where there was like no other comics. But by the way, comedians, y'all are letting me down, man. Like I don't understand. We have one open mic to go to. It's not like we have one every night that you got to get to, but we have no comics show up except for Nephew. Y'all want to shit on Nephew, but he's the only one showing up every week. So fuck y'all. But anyway, as such, I started drinking with the crowd, drinking with my friends that showed up, and then I went home with Brittany. By the way, this is the bartender I was talking about from earlier. Yay! I went home. They have a spare bedroom. Yeah, I got really high on the way because somebody gave me an edible, and we drove home, and I was so high that I thought, and drunk, that because it takes a while to drive through the woods to get to her house. And I was so high that I thought I had convinced myself that I had died probably in like a horrible accident, and that I was like viewing everything like the last moments of my life, like I'm having a vision, and I thought that Brittany was the person carrying me, like as the river Styx to the afterlife. So, and then apparently I puked. I thought it was all good. I must have just not, because I woke up. I remember that I puked, but I must have done it, and then I had to it probably like splashed out of the toilet or something, and I had to like clean it up with a towel. And she just sent me a really gross picture of my mess that I didn't clean up. So everybody shunned me now. That's probably why there's only one viewer, and it's Brittany. So I'll take that. We'll take a moment of silence. At least I didn't pee, you know. The wall? How did it end up on the other side? Yeah, this is like all shame. All right, this is the shame. I'll accept it. This is the first time I went live. Yeah, this is not cute anymore. This is I'm 37. Shouldn't be doing that anymore. Yeah, multiple shame. I'm gonna get shadow banned for this, and I accept. That's a good reason to get shadow banned. And I have to, what's funny is everybody told me that for lives to really start working for the algorithm, you have to do this for an hour. So I can't even leave right now. I'm only at 23 minutes. I just have to sit here and take it for the next 40 minutes. Otherwise, this is all a waste. It doesn't matter. All right. Well, look, Brittany, we have. There might be other, even though there's no other viewers now. These things work like they'll store it so other people can watch it later. So you're welcome to continue to shame me. I will take it. I understand. There's no way I can edit this, by the way. Everybody saw, everybody heard, or everybody will hear it. But Brittany, the point of this, I talked earlier. I want to get you on this podcast whenever I start doing guests, which should be next week. Oh no. This is some old school cyberbullying, and I have to just sit here and take it. Oh, I just heard the. Oh, man, I really did think I was cleaning everything up. I'm so sorry, but after you pulled your bathroom. Oh my god! All right, well, we'll get you on the podcast. That'll be. Uh, I'll come over and paint or something. I don't know. I must have just. I must. I know. I remember puking. I must have. Obviously, I tried to clean it. You want to tell me story? All right. So, all right. This is Brittany. It's luckily a close friend of mine, a very close friend of mine. That's my dad, actually. She's the bartender over at the Juke. So if you're watching this later, know about that. Um, Where was I going before this digression began? Um, yeah, I was talking to Brittany. I was talking about Halloween last year with the guys, and I was in the Woody costume. But when I first, okay, this is what when I first moved back. So this is the story of how the juke joint open mic started. Well, actually, years ago, a guy named Derek Copswab was running it, but that was under different owners. And then I used to run, or I used to come and do that show, not as like the producer or anything. Yeah. But I came back, and the last time I did that, when I was still living in Phoenix, I brought my friend Rob Maybe out, and there was this guy, one of the comics locally that doesn't really come out anymore, and I'm kind of okay with that. Wanted to hop on it. It was his first ever time, which normally I would have been like, yeah, no. But I was like, you know what? New people that are local will bring. So come on out, man. And he came out and it wasn't great. But afterwards, the current owners approached me because it was a pretty decent turnout. And they were like, hey, you want to do this every week? And I was like, well, I don't live here, but that dude right there does. And I'll teach him everything I know. And then he started that open mic years ago, like it's like 2018, I think. When that 2017 maybe, I don't know. It's been a while. And then I would kind of message him because I was living in Phoenix at the time. I would message him things like how to run an open mic, but it's kind of hard to like teach somebody how to do something when you're not there. So I came back. I moved back because my dad was sick, and I came to the mic and I was like, man, this sucks. This is not being run very well. Like none of the chairs would be moved in toward the show. People would just be kind of like walking around. There was one night I did the show and people just started dancing in the middle of my set. Just like the jukebox wasn't even on. Somebody just started playing music on their phone and just jamming out to their own phone. It was wild. Um, so I afterward at the time I was working for the brewery comedy tour and we were trying to bring that show there. But that guy didn't want to run a show at the same place that doesn't open mic, which I think is stupid because we do it now and it's fine. Um, but it wasn't going that great anyway, so we stopped the mic for the time being. And then when I got done with doing that tour, I told the owners like, hey, look, I'll run this open mic, and it was I didn't ask very much at the time because I knew it was a new thing. Man, at first, this is like before COVID. At first, Brady will tell you it sucked. It sucked so bad. Like it was people, like a lot of the regulars would come in, and it was like they'd kind of look at the show and be like, "Wait, what is this?" And then and like, we didn't have a lot of comics, so I was like literally just headlining an open mic every fucking Tuesday. Um, but then COVID happened, and for at first no shows were really happening at all. But Mississippi really didn't care as much about quarantine as the rest of the country did. So we got into an interesting situation where people don't know this, but the governor here, Tate Reeves, put out a statement during quarantine saying he basically put the guidelines for what's allowed during quarantine. And one of the things he said was bars are allowed to be open, but no live music. That's all he said about entertainment. And the owner of the Juke hit me up and said, fucker didn't say anything about comedy. And I was like, yeah, send it. So that's what we did. And man, Brittany will tell you for the first, there was like a 6-month period of that open mic where, I mean, we'd have to open that back door to like let people watch because it was the only thing to do in like 100-mile radius. I think even more than that, honestly. But I mean, we would have, because there's the one side where people just want to be entertained in any way possible, but the audience people were coming out. But then there was another side of it where comics weren't getting stage time anywhere else. So we had, I think, as far away as Chicago, people driving out. We did have a couple of people from Chicago drive all the way out to get some mic time. And there's a lot, but even outside of that, it was a lot of people from Florida. It was a lot of people from, various places. So I think that was what really, as much as I try to take credit, I have to look at the what happened during that time period to really give it credit because I mean it was that more than it was me. But even before that, like when I first moved back, I realized I also
the Juke also wasn't the only place that there was to do comedy. And again, like I said in the beginning, I am not going to name names. Brittany, please don't name names. I mean, they can if they want, but I'm not going to. If somebody comes on later and starts getting feisty, I can get feisty back. So these are, again, the point of me talking about all this is to clear the air so that we can begin to grow from the bottom up. And if you have a problem, you can talk to me personally. I guess you can come in and comments if you want, but I mean, Brittany did, as you can see. These comments are wild right now, and I deserve it. I deserve every bit of it. But when I first moved out, there was another bar in Biloxi that did comedy, and like an open mic on Mondays, I think. And it was really run by a guy that's really never been involved in the comedy world. And at first, because the guy talked about wanting to open a comedy club, and at first I was very excited. I was like, yes, I support this. I support having a local comedy scene, that's got a club that we can make like the headquarters of that comedy scene. So I took it upon myself because I know the way the business works. Open mics don't typically make a lot of money for comedy clubs, but you still need an open mic to be the foundation of any comedy scene because the open mic is where you find new talent. That's originally what my idea was for the juke joint, was to start a talent pool collection at the juke joint so that we could funnel them over to a comedy club that's in town. Well, that person took it upon himself, and because I started another show on a Tuesday in another city, acted like I was against him and that I, was trying to screw him out. And he basically tried to get me fired by telling the owners of the juke to fire me. And they told me about it. Other people told me about it. He still denies it. So until that person can come and say, okay, this is a thing I did, I'm sorry, we cannot have an actual conversation about it. I see him every once in a while, and we're cordial, but I don't have any conversations about comedy with him because of that. Because I also felt like there was other comics on the scene that he was, and I know this for a fact. Years later, I learned that he was like just trashing me to other comics, telling them I was bad news for the scene. So it's like, now there's people that still have that thought of me, so I don't know. It's over. It's been over for a while, but again, the whole point of this was to air all that laundry out. So here we are doing that. Who do we got in here? There's another viewer now. Throw me a comment. Let me see, because it doesn't let me see who you are. So that was the first, because I moved and I'm thinking, all right, this is a clean slate. There's no actual comedy here. We can start, and yet again, it doesn't matter. There's always going to be somebody with an ego that tries to screw you. So there it is. Happened immediately when I got back. But the juke, that place ended up closing down. That guy's not really involved in comedy anymore. And then from there, I was like, well, COVID happened, and then it was like I had a lot of time to think. So I was like, all right, well, let's get as many comedy shows, because what the comics locally need is more stage time to be able to get better. So I was like, let's reach out to every venue. And at the time, the juke was blowing up so much with the comedy that other bars were kind of wanting a piece of that action. So it was easy to get into the door at some places. So we started it at Mermaid. We did, let's see, all the bars that I've done comedy at producing on the Gulf Coast. We have the Juke, that's first and foremost, Mermaids, Marley's Record Store, that's the proper name of it, I don't remember. Jack's by the Tracks, District on the Alley in Gulfport, which is now the Cadillac, which is now about to be something else. There might be an announcement soon about that. Low-key, I'm hearing that they're trying to open a comedy club there. You didn't hear it from me. I did the Celtic a couple of times. The Celtic was one where that was a bad show because I did two of them there. The first one was okay. The second one, the bouncer was behind the bar getting hammered and just yelling over the show. And I was like, hey, man, can you keep it down? And he was threatening to fight me and the other comics. And I just went, dude, you know what? You can just give me the check and we'll bounce, bro. We don't have to do this. I'm never going to live this one down. I'm already aware. What do I got to do, Brittany? What do I got to do? I want to hear from you. There he is. All right, so that was the first issue. Oh, and then we did a show at Mermaids, and that one went. That was like the first book show that I think a lot of people locally did, and God, that was a nightmare. The situation was as follows: I had booked. The owner of the Mermaid wanted me to do she wanted me to book as many female comedians as I could, which I really would like more female comedians. Even now, we just don't have them. Sometimes when people talk about like people don't book females, I'm like, yeah, my scene only has like one. Like I don't know what to do about that. Like we've had some come and go over the years, but I don't know. I can't do much about it. And some of it, I know I don't have any issues with any of the female comics that have come and gone. I mean, I do, but it's all professional, not anything weird. But I don't know if there was any other situations that have happened that made the women not come out. If there is, like, please let me know, 'cause I'll fix it. But I know I didn't do anything. But we did have a situation where it was like the first book show for a lot of these comics, and three of them brought pretty much the crowd, which I know that's how it happens. But I knew, okay, they've only been doing this for like a couple of months, so they're only going to have like maybe 5 to 10 minutes to their name. I'm going to headline it, which is going to, I knew it was going to be awful even going into it, because when people bring their friends, what happens is their friends will then leave after the show, after their friend gets off, and go outside, and that's exactly what happens. By the time I got on stage, the actual people that were there for comedy went outside. So the people that I was performing to were like the people at the bar that did not give a shit about comedy. It was a nightmare. But then afterward, I remember one of the newer comics at the time, was like, because I had somebody else hosting it, and I told him, hey, make sure you ask the comics, how they want to get brought on stage. Which, if you're a comic that's experienced watching this, that's like typically a rule. Like I've seen that as a rule listed on comedy club green rooms. Like, make sure you ask, people how they want to get brought on. And one of the comics the next day was yelling at me about like, you should just know how to bring us up. And I was like, what? It was wild. And like, again, that's a person that I would be willing to work with again. It's just I felt like that was a growing pain of a new comic that didn't know any better. But the other situation was, that was the first show we did after COVID, so no money. I had no money. I didn't like take out a loan to start Landmass Comedy. I didn't do any of that. It was just pay as you go. It was the bar giving us money. Well, the bar gave us a check. I didn't have any way of cashing that out, and seeing that that was the first show we had, I didn't have any money coming in, so I had to wait till the next day till it was in the account to pay everybody. God, I never. There was a good week where I just did not hear the end of that. Like, it was so unprofessional. Like, I didn't think this is how comedy would be run, and I'm like, well, you don't really know how comedy gets run because you've never been paid for this shit before. So people would get weird with me about how mad I would get, and it was because of shit like that. Like, dude, I am making sure that if you got paid $50, that meant I got paid nothing. If you got paid $75, I might have got paid $25. And it got to a point where I got tired of trying to take care of everybody. I didn't expect any accolades. I didn't expect any pats on the back, but I definitely didn't expect people to turn on me and shit all over me. And that's why I just stopped and said, you know what? I'm going to focus on the juke, make the juke as good of a place as I can, and hopefully that inspires other people to start their own shows on their own. And that's where we are. I couldn't. What I was doing was I was starting a show and then letting somebody else host it. They were getting the money out of it, and then we would go from there. It wasn't, I didn't do anything else. If you're on now, comment so I know who you are, please. I know Brittany's on these comments. They're hitting it up hard, but let me know who you are. Drop a line so I can. Okay, what's up, Andy? How you doing? We'd love you back, dude. We missed the old magic. I know the sound isn't great, but that's because it's live. I can't. If this was a regular recording, I could actually edit this in post, but there's no way to do that on here. So I do apologize for the sound, by the way. Andy was a part of the scene for a little bit. He did magic, and sometimes it would walk the room. But hey, magic is kind of like an act out. Act outs are not an easy thing to do. I have this theory about Jim Carrey, because Jim Carrey's entire act is act outs, and if you're a comedian that's got any level of experience, you know that doing a whole act out is risky, because if it doesn't pan out, nobody laughs, it hurts way worse than a regular joke if you're sitting there. Which Jim Carrey's whole act was act out. So imagine like, dude, a Jim Carrey bomb would have had to be legendary because he like does a whole act out and nobody laughs and he's like, all right, well, here's 10 more minutes of me talking out of my butthole. That'd be so nasty. Kevin, did you drug me? He got so nervous. I was just having a good time. I told him about it. I took an edible apparently Tuesday, and or he says it wasn't an edible, but I mean, I thought I died, so I detect edibles. Yeah, I didn't think you drugged me. I mean, buddy, I know I get to the point where I drink and I'm like, I want everything. Don't worry. You could have given me black tar. Look, I have a joke about doing black tar heroin because I was like, give me shit. I did it. Yeah, I got pretty. I got the littiest of titties on Tuesday. I gotta stop doing that. I really was doing pretty good. I didn't drink for like 3 weeks, and then boom, just fucking. Oh, Robbie's birthday. I'll drink to that. Matt showed up, and it was a pretty good night. I had a good time on stage, but I think those Maker's shots. I think that's the secret. Stop doing those Maker's shots. That was bad. All right. What were we talking about here before the diversion began? Kevin, did you see these comments? It's pretty nasty. I fucked up. Look, I'm being shadow banned like live in person from doing shots ever again. That's fine. I'll take it. Yeah, that's bad. I puke so much. It looks like I did try to clean it, and then the next day I just don't think I used the bathroom, so I just didn't I didn't like go in and look at the shower. I would have seen it if I had done that. Oh man, I'm never gonna put that down. I'm such a messy bitch. Hey, you know what? Your husband broke a toilet at a place I was doing comedy at, and then he came in and broke my towel rack in the bathroom. Blah blah blah. That was the night I saw your husband's pee pee. So what's up? Yeah. thought you thought you'd remember that. Remember when you just left your husband? You were like, "He's not coming home with me." I was like, "Fair." There was like so that was another. Okay, let's get back to because I know people are going to watch this later. I want to get back to talking about one of the funnest shows that I ever did on the coast. It was at a place called Poor Judgment in Long Beach. Some of you are probably following this. You'll probably watch this later. Man, that the very first show was when I knew like, oh my god, this is going to be legendary. The owner was this guy named Tan, and he was the kind of guy that you get real hammered, and then your tab is like $8, and you're like, wait a minute, what sketchy shit's going on? What sketchy Steve's Lounge did I come to? But the very first night that I did a show there, it was a very small bar, not very much bigger than the Juke. I would say the inside area was only like 300 square feet. It was not a very big spot. He drove his bike into the motorcycle into the bar and did donuts in the bar. It was like like right after the show, just drove it in. I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be wild. There was nights because we did a wireless mic setup. Yeah, Kevin, I know it's a live stream. I don't know how to. I mean, I can. By the way, this thing has buttons. Yeah, you hear that? There's not much I can do. I mean, I can turn the bass up, maybe turn the treble's already down, but as much as I can make it. But it's a live stream, man. I don't until YouTube gets better. That's why the regular podcast I can edit everything in post, but I can't do that live. So I'm stuck to what I can get. Let's see. I know I didn't. I forgot that I have this whole soundboard. Y'all want to test it out with me? Let's see what else we got. All right. Awesome. I'm never gonna use that one. It's awful. That's gonna get me banned. That's gonna try that one again. Do I have an air horn? Let's see. I got. Oh, do I have an air horn? No, I have. Way better. Way better than an air horn, sir. That I'm gonna use the fuck out of that one for sure. For sure, that one's getting used. I have these other buttons, but I don't know what they do. I don't know what the fuck that did. Ooh, wait. Did that make my voice sound different? Is that bad? I can hear. I don't know if I can upload my own samples. This is what it looks like. Probably not. It's pretty rudimentary, other than the fact I'm gonna turn that off. Okay, wait. No, I don't know what the fuck I just did. Why is it speaking French to me? I'm trying to turn it off. Okay, nope. Oh, I think I have to go back to primal. Okay, primal sound. So that's like one way to do it, and then primal sound. What is internal play? Internal play. Hey, that actually sounds better, huh? This one? This is worse? It seems better in the monitor. I like that we're doing a test run. I like that that's what this is. This is basically the test run of this podcast. I'm not going to do very many of these lives. I like being able to edit things in post. I just wanted to try it because everybody told me this was better. So primal sound. Okay. Okay, eliminator. I just tried eliminator. Is that any better? It's got like a. You hear the hum, dude. I know. I could probably turn the mic down. Is that better? You got to give me some feedback here. The clicking. Yeah, see, the clicking is like, again, I don't want to keep doing lives because this is all stuff that I can fix in post. Like, it's very easy. You can just isolate the voice, enhance it, and it sounds great, or it sounds better than this. All right, trying this. Let's try Pro, whatever the fuck that means. Pro. Well, see, there's no gain. I got a treble volume knob. I got a bass knob. I got treble all the way down. Maybe turn that up a little bit. And then I got an accompany knob. That doesn't seem to be doing anything. I got this monitor knob, but that's just, we're turning it down in my head, so, or in my ears. I got this record knob. And I got this echo knob, which this is obviously the better. Your mic have a box connected to it called Krangus. Just a condenser, but I do see. I was gonna start using my dynamic mic, and then somebody stole it out of my car. So this isn't the best. This isn't like the greatest mic that Eliminator didn't do anything. Alright. That doesn't sound better. Now I sound muffled. Maybe because I need to turn the record volume up. Is that better? Sounds to me like I need a better board or a better mic. I mean, I did have a better mic, and then somebody yanked it out of my fucking car. Johnny Carson or Carson Taylor? I don't know. Well, we're gonna try to get through this. I got 10 minutes to burn. Carson Daly? Well, I would take Carson Taylor over Carson Daly. Ugh. That fucking guy. Oh. What's that guy up to anyway? What's Blanket Jackson up to? Nobody ever thinks about him anymore. I sound like E.T. phoning home in the back in action. Well, listen, I puked in your toilet and ruined your life, apparently. So, I don't know, man. I'm trying to. There's like these other buttons: Pop, EMC, Pro.
This is a child soundboard. This is literally the Home Alone voice.
All right. Oh my God. Holy shit. What did I do? Does that sound better? Dude, I don't hear any humming. Do y'all hear me though? It's coming in through here. Oh my God, I fixed it? Okay, yeah, because I don't hear the hum at all anymore. All right. Okay, so internal play, primal sound, voiceover, and eliminator. Oh my God, we fixed it. Yeah. No more fixing shit in post. Yeah. Now I got 10 minutes left to talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about. I gotta stop cussing on this because I've been told that YouTube has like really strict policies about cursing, and I hate it. Like, man, I thought we were supposed to be in this to for free speech. So not in Trump's America. I don't know. I did a burlesque show last night, and there was this like. Let me show you. There was an influencer there. I'm not going to show you because that would be kind of weird. There was like a genuine influencer, like 500,000 followers, and she was going around following everybody. Um, but her and her like boyfriend, who I think was like also her security guard, were like from New York, and I was like, yeah, New York, and then he just started immediately like, I'm Republican, by the way. And I was like, nobody asked. I didn't fucking ask about that. I'm not gonna go into Trump shit. I think sometimes I'll do shows in like New Orleans where there's like tourists, and they always bring me up as being from Mississippi, so people like expect me to like be a huge like Trumper, and I'm not. I'm neither, man. I'm not Trump or Harris. I don't care. It's stupid. Well, this isn't the first episode. This is technically the third, but this is the first live stream for sure. So, but I mean, I'm not gonna get demonetized based off of this is a lot of comments, so maybe that's why this is pretty good. This is literally everybody that's been to the bar, so this is a good bar episode. I'm happy with it. Jessica's in there waiting on me to, take her to go eat. So this is a good, not waste of time at all. I'm just glad. You know what? If I can look at a positive out of this whole thing, I'm glad that we fixed the mic. So that's a positive. We figured that out together as a team. I think I gotta buy myself some shots and puke in Dimitri's bathroom next, and then Andy, then Kevin. Andy, my favorite memory of the jute joint was my Air Force friends coming to a show and then asking me after, "Hey, why do you do that?" You pretty much just summed up an open mic. Open mic comedy is in that sentence right there. You summed it up. I'm glad you took it in good spirits though, because most people never come back after getting that. I've seen a lot of people come to that mic and it'll be their first time. Man, my favorite recent one was this guy came in and brought like his grandparents, his like auntie. He brought all his family, like female members of his family. And before he goes on, like all the comics are kind of sitting on the front patio, and this guy walks up and he's like, "I'm about to fucking kill this shit, bro." And he like walks in and it got quiet, and I just went, "That guy's gonna bomb." And bro, he did. He bombed, but he got up there. The worst part was again, he's got like his grandparents and aunts and his mom and sisters in there, and he immediately starts talking about how he throws down good dick, and they're just like, "I hate this." Like all his family members were like, "This sucks." Like, but he did. I do remember like 3 minutes into his set, he kind of looked and went, "Man, I'm bombing, ain't I?" And I was like, "Yeah." That's my favorite. I like when you meet other comics that kind of know when they're bombing because you can have fun with it rather than people getting too serious and acting like they killed it when you're like, "No, you didn't do great." But like people when they know that they bomb, it's like, "Yeah, I can get along with you." Yeah, it was a fun one. And I remember, well, it didn't blow up. I just stopped talking for a second. Or did it actually blow up? I mean, I can hear myself, but that's feedback. I don't know how to fix this. Oh, it is bad. Yeah. You know what? It's a connection issue. Because when I'm fucking with the connection, it's going away.